All right, we are back for another episode of That 90s Baseball Pod. I'm your host, Brandon Warren, and you can find me on Twitter at Brandon_WARNE, and joined as always by Greg Olson. You can find him on Twitter at GREGGOLSON. Mr. Olson, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, some technical difficulties, so I'll apologize ahead of time if this is less than the quality people have grown accustomed to with That 90s Baseball Pod, but maybe it's a throwback to the 90s and where technology was at that point. What we have in store for today is another fun, very special guest. He played with someone by the last name of Gregg, 2 G's. He also played with the other Greg Olson, but you guys met up, I believe, in 1994 in Atlanta. It's left-handed pitcher, Kent Mercker. Kent, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, guys. Good seeing you both. Ollie, it's been a while, man.
Yeah, it has. It has been a while, but it's great having you on, brother. Appreciate you coming on and talking some ball with us.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Not the first 1986 draft pick from the first round that we've had on. If people remember, we had Greg Swindell on a while back. So we're just making the way through the 86 draft and left-handed pitchers and that sort of thing. That was the year I was born.
Plus, he's a lot older. You got to get to him because you don't know how long he's going to be around. So
nice.
Oh, we'll make sure. We'll make sure and circle back on that one. I'm sure he'll be delighted to hear that he's old. But yeah, really excited to have you. We around here we just talk about stuff that happened in the 90s and stuff adjacent to that. You obviously pitched a lot longer than just the 90s, so we'll have some fun with it. How does that sound?
Sounds great, man.
And what are you up to now? Look at after that.
I'm actually working as a baseball agent. About 3 years into retirement, my agent, Casey Close with Excel Sports, reached out to me and asked if I wanted to come join him. So I've been doing that the last 8.5 years, which has been great. It's kept me around the game without, as well, he'll tell you, without having to do the 6 months away, 8 months away from the family. It still allows me to get out there, see some games, talk baseball with some kids, and still spend a lot of time in my own bed. So it's a win-win for me.
Perfect world. I'd love to have had you represent me, knowing your background and intelligence and just having you around.
Fill me in on this background of intelligence, please.
I said background,
I signed
background and intelligence.
Again, what intelligence are you referring to? You didn't pick up on that in Atlanta that brief time we were together, did you? Because I did the crossword puzzle.
I mean,
crossword puzzle.
Yeah, you did crossword puzzles, and you could answer questions that were directed at you. So I, just assumed.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Now I answer ones that aren't even directed at me. Times have changed.
All right, I got to ask. You got, I think I counted 12 teams.
Nine.
So that's what I was going to ask. Do you count the other 3 as 12, or do you go back to 9? Because I count mine as 10. I got the Royals twice.
Okay, then I'm 12 with the Reds 3 times, and the Braves twice.
Yeah, that was what I was kind of looking at. I was going, okay, how you doing?
I always look at it 9 different teams, but you're right. I was in Cincy 3 separate times, and then in Atlanta twice.
That's a compliment that they liked you enough to keep bringing you back.
Yeah, or that they got rid of me twice.
I suppose
I kind of look like they like me, so they brought me back, even though they.
Of course they did.
Like the Royals decided they didn't want to pay me what I should, deserved.
Right.
Then they let me loose, and then the next time I was available to be picked up for free, I was, hey, we got to pick me back up.
No, you know what though? You're right, Ollie. Like Oli, I think it does show that a little bit. I know when I went back to Atlanta in 2003, like Bobby Cox told me, he goes, Merck, we know what we're getting on the field. We know what we're getting in the clubhouse. We know how you are with the guys, and a lot of the guys, when I, left at the end of 95, a lot of the guys are still on that team. So he knew I would fit in and I wouldn't be a distraction and I wouldn't be a problem. So there is something to that about teams and managers, wanting the same guy back with, obviously more diminished skills at that point than I had in 92 and 93. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a warning. Brandon's probably going to have a question for you that you've never been asked before.
Okay.
I'm holding him off a little bit because I'm just kind of curious. You went from starter to reliever and, ended up having a nice career as a reliever. How did you do that? Was there anything special that you did, or did you just continue to adapt to the game?
I didn't have a choice, one, right? So I liked being in the big leagues. Would I have preferred to start my entire career? Yes. But at the time, the demand for a starter in Atlanta wasn't there. They needed a reliever. So it probably got me to the big leagues quicker. And again, with Bobby Cox, you don't really complain a whole lot about your roll. You don't even bring up roll unless it's for breakfast and you're putting butter on it. That's the only roll you talk about. And yeah, I just acclimated, man. And Phil Niekro was the bullpen coach when I first got there, and
oh wow,
couldn't ask for a better guy to kind of just Nuxie, laid back, relaxed. Obviously had the pedigree he had, knew everything you needed to know about the game and pitching, and just to be able to sit there, for 3 hours a night and just listen to him talk and ask him questions was a great learning experience for me. But as far as adapting, I just broke it down simply. Like, obviously your role, you were a 1-inning guy and came in and shut the door. That's kind of how I approached starting, was just go out 1 inning and shut the door that first inning, then go back out and shut it for 1 more inning. So I kind of kept a mentality as a reliever when I was starting. It probably worked less than it, or it didn't work more than it did work. But to me, pitching was pitching. It was one objective, getting everybody out. I wasn't a starter that paced myself in the first because I thought I'd have to go 7 or 8. I'm like, I may not be around in the third, so I'm just going to go at it as hard as I can, as long as I can, until the score dictates I come out or my pitch count. So I always had a reliever's mentality, even when I was starting.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of what we're seeing now in Major League Baseball, is the guys going as hard as they can, and who knows how long they're going to be in the game. But no, I can appreciate that aspect of it.
Well, they've kind of, today's game, they've devalued the starting pitching, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I can't imagine, we're talking 90s baseball here, right? Can you imagine, guys, some of the players we played with, if you tried to go get them after 5 scoreless innings, it wasn't going to happen.
No.
Oh, David Wells, Matt Smoltz, Glavine. I just, honestly, every starter I played with, there would have been issues if they went out there after 5 innings. Or imagine Maddux showing up and Bobby saying, "Hey, we're gonna use Mercker as the opener, and then you're gonna come in like the third inning and finish the game." How's that gonna go?
Well, going back to the 90s, I came up with a 5-man bullpen. You went 5 and we're trashed for a day,
Yep.
It was just the way it was. And then it was like, we got a 6-man bullpen to pick up a little bit of help, maybe after one of a bad start. You're looking around going, way too many guys in this bullpen for me to get to my work. I can't
remember that.
I'm sitting there now for 10 and 11 guys.
Oh yeah. Remember almost every at the beginning of every season, a lot of teams would carry 1 or 2 extra relievers till the starters got their, legs under them. But then you were just hoping in April you pitched your butt off because you knew they were going to send 2 guys out in May, right? Once the starters were stretched out a little bit. So yeah, those days are over. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, I probably won't see it. I mean, it's been effective bringing in one guy after another, throwing 97 miles an hour, and it's like rinse and repeat for the next inning. But
no doubt,
is what it is. All right, let's go to 1991, and had an argument on Twitter. I don't know. I got to find you on Twitter, but had an argument on Twitter that a multi-pitcher no-hitter doesn't really count. How you feel about that, Kirk?
My mom disagrees 100%. I'll tell you that. You know what? Listen, I don't care if it counts or not, to be honest with you. Personally, I do think it counts. A team no-hitter, right? It's a team game. I'm not, I don't take credit. When people ask me, you have 2 no-hitters, don't you? I go, no, I've got 1 2/3. Right? That's how I say it. And then, Wohlers came in for 2, Pena came in for 1, and the Braves threw a no-hitter that day, right? That's how I look at it. Whether, I don't know if that wins the argument or loses the argument, but it just explains my stance on that.
Well, I just kind of ran through it going, well, how many multi-pitcher no-hitters are there in history? And then how many hundreds of one-man no-hitters are there?
Yeah.
So what's more difficult?
Well, that was actually the first combined no-hitter in the National League when it happened. There was one other one in the American League.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. That's right.
Yep.
See?
We had one we had them in the same year in 91. Yeah.
Right. And you guys had what, 4 pitchers or 5?
Bob Malacky got hurt in the 6th inning, and then it was Mike Flanagan, Mark Williamson, and myself.
That's right. Yeah, that was 91. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I guess by your standards, then I have 1/9 of a no-hitter. I'm not digging that.
Yeah, but you got the most important out, dude.
I thought ours was pressure packed with the 2-0 thing, but you guys were 1-0.
Well, and only the thing that was crazy about that is so literally this happened to me twice. It happened again in 93, but I show up to the field that day and I forget if it was Charlie Lee Brandt or maybe Bilecki. I forget who it was that was supposed to start. So I show up, Leo comes and grabs me. He says, hey, when whoever it was, we'll say Charlie, when Charlie goes down before the game to warm up, I need you to come down because he doesn't know if he can pitch. Because I'd been in the bullpen all year. And I think the most pitches I threw probably were 50 at any given point. And so sure enough, I go down there, he can't go. Leo flips me the ball. I start warming up. I go 6 no-hit innings. And this was when we were trailing the Dodgers. This is when we had that huge second half. This was in September where we were actually in playoff battle. So I wasn't even thinking about, because someone asked me, well, why didn't you ask to go back out there? I'm like, listen, I'm not going to argue with Bobby, but we got a 1-0 lead. We need to win this game. Like, I'm not going to be selfish and ask to go back out there and go into the 80s and 90s in pitches when I haven't done it all year. But yeah, so that's how that happened. It wasn't planned for me to start. It was, hey, you're starting.
Wow.
It happened in 93 too. Same thing. And I went 6 no-hit against the Padres in San Diego and got pulled.
Did you really? Well, that one didn't finish up. What happened on that one?
Wohlers gave up a hit in the 8th. We ended up throwing a 1-hitter. Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, that was about the most stressed that I've ever been in a game. We got Oakland. I got the middle of the lineup. I got a 2-0.
Oh.
I could walk a guy and give up a bomb, and there goes a no-hitter in the game in just a heartbeat. I'm like, this is miserable. I was pacing around the bullpen out in right field in Oakland, going, all right, breathe.
That wasn't a bad lineup either, was it?
No. Yeah, I got Baines to end the game. I'm like, yeah, it's great.
Oh.
I can't get him out in a regular day. Now I got to get him out in this situation.
Well, dude, Alejandro Pena, he was the polar opposite of you because he came in, got the save, and then as he was walking off, he threw the ball into the stands over the dugout. He didn't even know it was a no-hitter. He had no clue. Because when we're getting him, they're like, yo, grab that ball. He's like, why? He goes, I've got enough saves. I don't need to keep my save. They're like, it was a no-hitter. He's like, oh my, you should have seen his face. He's like, I had no idea. He had no clue.
Oh, that would have been a lot more. That would have been a lot more fun.
Right?
A lot more fun.
Right.
All right. Well, tell us about the next one. I believe it was April '94.
Yeah.
First start of the year.
Yeah, which was crazy. And again, to preempt it so the 91, then in 93, it happened again, right? But didn't finish it. So then I go to spring and Bobby just pulled me aside. He goes, listen, you've done everything we've asked you to do. It's your job to lose this spring. You're going to break camp as our 5th starter. So go out, relax this spring, do your thing, get your arm built up, and let's go. So we actually open up in San Diego that year for a 4-game Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or I'm sorry, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in San Diego. And here's the pressure I got to deal with was I think Maddux went game 1, went like 8 scoreless. Glavine pitched game 2, 8 scoreless. Smoltz went game 3. I think he went like 7 2/3, struck out 12. And then Avery comes in with like 7 scoreless. And we're 4-0 heading to LA. And I'm like, this is great. So I'm going to start Friday night in LA. Really no pressure, to be honest, as far as we're 4-0. But next thing you know, I go through that 6 scoreless again or 6 no hit. And I'm coming in waiting on Bobby. I'm just assuming he's going to come and get me. Same reason. Pitch count got up. You haven't thrown that many pitches in spring training.
Yeah.
At the time, I think it was 2-0 or 3-0. I just assumed I was done. So I kind of was looking around and Leo's like, you looking at? And I'm like, am I done? He goes, hell no, you're not done. So anyways, they roll me back out there. And I'll tell you the best part of that game, which, LA gets a bad rap that fans show up late and they leave early to beat traffic. Well, I came up to hit in the top of the 9th and Chan Ho Park made his debut. And everyone still thinks Tommy tried to show me up by the first Korean-born Major League Baseball player. But I hit that inning and I got a standing ovation when I came to the plate in Dodger Stadium, which I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, right?
That's really cool.
And then went back out for the bottom of the 9th. I had to face, who was it? Butler, Piazza, and Karros.
Nice.
And they were on their feet from the first pitch in the 9th. And I'm sitting there on a visiting mound. I didn't even get standing ovations at home, let alone on the road. So I'm just out there. And honestly, that crowd got me through that because they were more excited than I was. And I was just out there. I was tired, but that momentum, that vibe they gave me just from being on their feet. And you remember that one guy that always wore the hat behind Dodger Stadium, and he had the radar gun?
Yeah.
Dude, that's the first time I'd lost focus during maybe any game in my life where I noticed something outside of the mound and the catcher. I could see that dude. Every pitch, I could see it. And he was getting fired up. So that was a lot of fun. And actually the best part of it was, so all that goes on, do my interviews, everyone's popping champagne and blah, blah, blah. Well, it's about time for the bus to go. Bobby calls me in his office and he goes, hey, great job, Lefty, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Just letting you know, we got the off day Monday. So I'm going to skip you to keep the other 4 guys on their normal turn. So I didn't even get to make my next. I threw a no-hitter and got bumped. Think about that. I got bumped.
That's a tough rotation to.
And I couldn't complain. I said, yes, sir. Like, what am I going to say?
You can't say anything to Bobby. No. What did you get the traditional, nobody sat near you, started moving away in the 6th, everything?
They did. Somebody actually, well, Avery knows me and Smoltz know me. So they were kind of talking with me because they knew I didn't want to be on that island. Because I'd look at them and say, guys, you can talk to me. Don't worry about it. I don't believe in that stuff. Someone asked me if I wanted a coffee because it was kind of cool. And Lemmer goes, no, don't give him coffee. Don't wake him up. And I'm like I was sleeping. And I remember telling Lemmer, I go, you were right, man. I was in La La Land right there. So just let me go. Don't bug him. But no, it was awesome. And you know what's cool about it? Just the excitement that my teammates had after I completed it. I look at the video, still watch it from time to time. And just to see how excited Fred McGriff was when I flipped him the ball and he picked me up, and like, it's just cool to see that your teammates got your back like that and the support they gave. And they made some really good plays for me. Dion made a good play, Terry Pendleton. So it wasn't without some stellar defense, but yeah, it was a fun night.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Brandon, what do you got? You've been so patient.
Yeah, I'm usually not. When we talk about the pitching that went through Atlanta in that era, we talk about Leo Mazzoni, Bobby Cox, John Schuerholz collecting the guys, and obviously the talent of the guys, yourself included. Was there anybody in the minors that kind of helped round that together that maybe people don't talk about enough, that helped put you guys on a path to becoming, you know, the preemptive pitching staff of the 1990s, at least the early 90s for sure?
Well, you mean as far as coaching or?
Yeah. Just any sort of mentorship. You know, there's Bobby Cuellar taught Johan Santana the changeup and that sort of thing coming through. So was there any sort of like ace in the hole that Atlanta had that maybe people didn't know about? Because everybody, again, knew Leo Mazzoni was a pitching guru. And obviously you guys, your talent alone stands on itself. But was there a constant in the minor league side that got you guys prepared for what was to come?
I think it wasn't one person. So like Smoltz, Glavine, myself, Avery, we all actually came up with Leo in the minor leagues. Like he was in the minor leagues coaching all of us. But what Leo did is he had a throwing program that he learned from Johnny Sane back in the day. And so I guess his presence was always in the minor leagues because of the throwing program, which I think most people, at least going through it, would say that it was very beneficial to you for arm strength, arm health. It was more throwing, but it was with less exertion. You learned your mechanics better. You could repeat your delivery more easily because you were more on the mound, more throwing more bullpens. And he had a full minor league coaching staff, pitching coaches and the coordinator that bought into it. So, you know, they say there was a Cardinals. They always say you hear about there's a Cardinals way of playing baseball. Well, there was a Braves way of pitching back then because, and I still think to this day, it's probably there's still some remnants of it, but we just all came, we all got put on this program, no matter if we were high school kids, college kids, you know, first round pick, 20th round pick, we all got put into this program. I had the benefit of actually having Leo as my AAA coach, you know, to apply it directly, but all the young pitchers, the Millwoods then that came through, Jason Schmidt, all those guys, Jason Mark, all those guys that ended up having good careers, they were all on that program. So I think it wasn't one person, it was a system that guys bought into and saw the benefits. And I mean, I don't know if you know the history of it, but I forget how many starts those four guys went without missing a turn, which is unheard of. And if you threw that program out there today, these people would say you're crazy. You're going to blow these kids out because they're pitching too much.
What was the culture change, or how did being an Atlanta Brave change? Because you were drafted by basically the Dale Murphy Braves. Again, you were a high school kid, so you weren't at the forefront. You weren't one of those guys that were going to rush through like you were some kind of Greg Olson superstar. But I like that look he gives me. But you know, there were some dark days at the late 80s, and you come up and things turn around. Obviously, everybody knows worst to first, 90 to 91. How did all of that evolve from the time you joined the Braves to the time when you guys really started clicking in 91, or even when Bobby took over in late 90?
Because, you know, there was anyone that played for Bobby will tell you this. He trusted you and you could trust Bobby, right? So what we were afforded, which again doesn't happen today, Tommy Glavine was 7-17 his first year in the big leagues, right? John Smoltz was 4-12. Steve Avery was 3-11, you know. So I think I was 4 and whatever my first year. Bobby basically told us, you guys are the future, right? You're as good as anything we have here now. They're getting older. We're coming up. He didn't wait. He wasn't worried about service time and when to start a guy's clock. He wanted to win at the big league level. And he knew the guys had an idea. And there was a lot of position players in this boat too. He knew that this is a good core group of guys. We're going to give them the opportunity and they can learn at the big league level, because we're going to lose 90. You know, we've lost 80, 90, 100 games the last 3 or 4 years anyway. Why not get the new guys up here, the young kids, teach them how to lose, which that's part of playing in this game, right? You got to learn how to lose too. And get them up here, let them get acclimated, and hey, we'll give them their opportunities. If you fail, we're going to give you the ball again. If you fail, we're going to give it to you again. If you keep failing, we're going to start giving it to somebody else. So it gave you enough pressure going to the big leagues as it is. Now you know you're not looking over your shoulder every time you give up a 2-run homer where you're going to get sent down. You knew Bobby had believed in you. You knew the coaching staff believed in you. And you could go out there and kind of relax and just go learn how to be the best version of yourself without the added pressure of being worried about getting sent down and going back to the minor leagues. And I think, and he had a simple set of rules. You show up on time, you play the game right, and you don't embarrass the Braves. Those were the only rules. And it didn't matter if you were a rookie or if you were Dale Murphy. It was the same set of rules for everybody. Everybody bought in. And I think, again, wasn't around when Russ Nixon was there. I liked Russ. I wasn't around when, forget who, Eddie Haas was there. So I don't know what the culture was then, but it was pretty obvious what it was going to be with Bobby. We're going to play the game right. We're going to play it hard. And you guys are going to get an opportunity to learn up here. Don't embarrass yourself. And that was basically it. And again, it was an awesome job. You didn't want to lose it. So you did everything you could to make sure you were on that roster.
How quickly in 91 did you guys know you had something?
Probably September 29th when we clinched.
Oh man.
No, I mean, it was one of those, I'm telling you, we trailed you have to look this up, but I want to say we trailed, and I could be making this up, until the last day of the season. I don't think we were ever, the Dodgers started out on fire that year, if I remember correctly. And that's easy to look up, and then you can tell me I'm wrong. But put it this way, if it wasn't up to the last day, it was pretty darn close.
We got biggest lead in the division of 2 games and a grand total of 25 days in first. So not very long.
Okay. Okay. Well, but it took, and we were tied going in. We beat Houston the last day of the season, and we had to watch on the big screen. San Fran was playing LA, because if San Fran loses, we go to LA for a 1-game playoff. If San Fran wins, obviously we win the division. So we knew we had a really good team, second half especially, when we just started. I forget what our winning percentage that half was, but it was pretty darn special. And we just felt it. It was the same guys that played in A-ball together. You know, I played with David Justice and Mark Lemke and Blauser. Like, we all grew up playing together in the minor leagues. Now we're all up here trying to figure it out at the big league level. We knew how to trust each other, right? We know each other. We hung out together. We enjoyed spending time away from the field together. It was like a family. It sounds corny, but it's true. All of a sudden you start getting a little momentum going, and now you don't feel like you can lose. But I don't think any of us, until we saw that last out, standing on the middle of the baseball field out in LA, we didn't believe it.
So you guys were 87 and 67 on September 27th, 2 games out. You won 8 in a row, clinched, and then lost to Pete Harnish, pretty good pitcher, on game 162. But by that time you'd clinched. So that 8-game stretch is what did it for you guys there at the end, which I was unaware of before. Now, I didn't start watching baseball till '93, which was a really bad time to become a Minnesota Twins fan, I might add. But yeah, so you guys lost 4 of 5, and then you won 8 in a row and sealed it. So there was something to be said about going into the postseason hot. No question about that.
Yeah. Well, and with the pitching we had, I mean, we didn't have Maddux yet, but you know, that was a pretty good rotation. Pete Smith was unbelievable, I believe, down the stretch that year. But yeah, it was a good, and again, with that Pirates team we beat, they were no joke, right? I mean, since he beat him in 90, we ended up beating him in 91 and then 92 again. But, you know, you got Van Slyke and Bonds and Bonilla and Don Slott. And I mean, that was a heck of a lineup. And they had a great pitching staff. So it was still one of those things. And I think what helped us, guys, was at the point when we got to the playoffs, we were the worst team in baseball in 1990, right? It says on our rings, worst to first. We were playing on house money at that point, meaning, yeah, let's go. Let's try to beat Pittsburgh, but we're not going to be tight. Like there was more pressure on them because they were perennial there and they weren't winning. So there was probably more pressure on Pittsburgh to win than there was us because no one even thought we were going to. Yeah. You guys have done, if you lose 4 games in a row, you still had an amazing season because you got to the playoffs. No one thought you would. So we just went out there, again, trusted each other, showed up, played hard, played right, and ended up pulling it out, 2 Game 7s.
Wow. Yeah, that was fun. Fun group of guys.
Yeah, it was.
Any favorite? We all, Maddux is legendary for his.
I can't tell my favorite Maddux stories. You know that.
I know. You get anything you can.
Dude, it's
possibly share.
I still talk to him occasionally, and there's not an interview I do or go on the radio that a Maddux, come on, give us a Maddux story. So I've kind of asked him over the years, like, and he hasn't sent it to me yet, but like, hey, send me the list of stories I'm allowed to tell that you're not going to get all pissed off about, right?
You should turn around and make it a book and then sell it and make some money off it.
Yeah, dude, what can you say about that guy? Like, first of all, the best pitcher I've ever seen put a uniform on. Just the way he dominated was ridiculous. I remember this one story, and it's not even a bad one, but it's just total him. We were I ended up charting this game because I started. It was against the Giants in 94 or 95, but he went complete game through I actually remember he threw 84 pitches because he threw 72 strikes and 12 balls over that 9-inning game, which I remember counting them up going, I missed like 2 innings or something. But so it's August in Atlanta, so it's warm. So he comes in, he's over there sitting in his locker getting undressed. Well, he does like the sniff test. He takes off his underwear and he kind of throws them in the bin and then just puts his street clothes on. He didn't even shower. And I'm like, dude, you just threw like 85 pitches. He goes, well, I'm golfing in the morning. I'm just going to sweat in the morning anyways. I'll just shower after that. And then, of course, Chipper's infamous story he's told where it was Chip's rookie year and he had a couple good at bats. And so Maddux was in the shower, not with him, but with the group. And so Chipper tells the story that he's like, yeah, I'm sitting there and, dude, I got Greg Maddux asking me about my at bats. Right? Like he's sitting there looking me right in the eye. And he's going, what were you thinking about, when you saw the slider? And he goes, I'm answering him and people are laughing. I'm wondering, he was peeing on Chipper the whole time he was talking to him. He didn't give a shit about he didn't care about his at bats. He just, and he was peeing on him the whole time. And he can't get mad at me for telling that one because I've heard that one a few times from Chipper. Yeah. But that's just the stuff he did. I mean, that was Mad Dog.
Oh, God.
Is Greg aware of what we in the baseball community call a Maddux pitching wise? Do you know? Are you aware of it?
Like the professor? Is that the?
No. I mean, if you pitch a complete game shutout with under 100 pitches, that's colloquially, I can't say that word.
Yes.
It's known in the community as a Maddux.
Oh, really?
Maddux.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he knows about that, but
I'll bet he doesn't.
Yeah, the baseball community calls that a Maddux if you can throw a complete game shutout in under 100 pitches. So it's funny that you bring that up, and I wasn't sure if he was even aware of it.
No, I don't think he is. He didn't he throw one CG in Chicago that was like 68 pitches? I think he had like a
probably.
68. But you know what was really cool? And this happened in 2003. Dude, he was so unassuming and he had no idea how good he was, right? He just thought hitters were stupid. Like he goes, I'm not even that good, dude. All I do is locate. If you want to be a smart pitcher, just locate your pitches. And I'm like, we all try that, dog. It's just not that easy. But he, I remember in 2003 when I got traded back, I got to pitch I think 7th or 8th inning. And I didn't even realize what was going on, but he broke one of Cy Young's records. And I'm like, that's the level he's gotten into. But Think about this stat. This is the craziest stat, will never be repeated. He won, it was his at least 15th win for the 17th consecutive season. Think about that, where he won a minimum of 15 games, and Cy Young had the record at 16 seasons. Doggy won his 15th, and that broke Cy's record of most consecutive seasons with at least 15 wins. And what's that? That shows you, that just goes to health, right? Because you can't miss a couple starts and still plan on winning 15 in baseball.
That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. I did not know that one. That
And I was in that game, and I'm glad I didn't know. I'd have been the one that coughed up the run or two, and now all of a sudden he ties Cy Young. You don't want to tie Cy Young.
You gave him the Alejandro Pena treatment there of flipping the ball into the stands and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh.
When you look at all the players who went through Atlanta in that 10 to 12, even the entire span of your career, I feel like not many teams had more characters. You talk about each of those guys. You talk about Chipper. You talk about, for better or worse, John Rocker, Jeff Francoeur. I feel like Atlanta fans were not only blessed by good baseball and a national network on TBS, but they had guys, Andrew Jones, they had guys who kept it interesting too.
Well, and that's the type player Bobby wanted in his clubhouse, right? It's not, when you talk about, and now in my business, when I'm talking to scouts about, draft picks, one of the biggest things they look for now is character. Like, they know they've got a good fastball. They know they've got all the stuff that's going to play out on the field, but they want to know what kind of guys they are.
Makeup.
I remember this story, Bobby Cox, and I want to say it was 93. Sherholtz had a chance to get Bonds for the remainder of that season. And Bobby goes, I don't want him around my young players. And we ended up getting McGriff instead, which ended up working out just fine. But Bobby, I almost think the character isn't, the guys are good character guys before they get there, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the type player John would go after and Bobby would want around on his team. Even like guys like Ole, great guy, fit perfectly when he came over there. Like, didn't skip a beat. You can't say that about every player. Well, Bobby wasn't ever gonna do anything to jeopardize that chemistry in that clubhouse. And so I think it's some coincidence that there are that many good guys, but I think it's more a matter of just the whole culture in that clubhouse, and it brought out the good side of everybody, the fun side. Guys that may have been a little bit more reserved and quiet opened up a little bit more, saw the personality. Mm-hmm. And when you're winning, by the way, as much as they were winning 14 divisions in a row, that kind of puts everyone in a good mood as well. But you get the right players, but he got great character guy. And again, it goes back, and I'll harp on it, it goes back to Bobby's simple rules of play the game right, play hard, and don't embarrass the team, right? He treated men like men. He didn't treat us like boys, and he got the best out of all of them.
I got there in 94. I found out when I got there in spring training that they had tried to trade for me in 93. And didn't work out, obviously. But you know what it always felt like to me?
We could have used the 93.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun. But it felt like to me that, you guys had stars, Justice, McGriff, obviously the pitching staff, but they were never bigger than anybody else, and I think that was what went to that culture. And maybe it was just being around, Chipper comes up and he's around all these guys, and they're just normal guys that are great at baseball. And, then Chipper goes through and has a solid career and is just a solid citizen. And you just kind of go through it. And it's like, you just wonder, it ain't that easy to do. It isn't that easy to not have one guy in the clubhouse that doesn't rock the boat. And like you said, it goes to Bobby.
Yeah, it does. And I think only to that point, that's why having one set of rules for everybody. If you were Fred McGriff and you were a minute late, you were getting fined, right? If you didn't run I remember a time he took Andrew Jones out. He didn't run a fly ball out. He took him out, pulled him, said, "You're going to sit right next to me the rest of the game if you don't want to run. Or I'll send you to AAA. If you want to not run balls out, I'll send you back to AAA. I don't care." Like, he just was, and you respected it right away, or you didn't and you were gone. Right.
Yeah.
That was the difference there. Like I laugh about getting skipped after my no-hitter. Had I said, "Bobby, I think I've earned the right to start in 5 days," he would have got me a plane ticket to AAA, and he goes, "Go start
back to Richmond."
Yeah,
that's what he would have done. So you know what, you went along with it. And his way of looking at it was, we didn't have one superstar. In his mind, we had 25, right? Yeah. Like, I'm going to treat you all the same, whether you want to consider I'm treating you like a rookie or a superstar, but it's going to be equal for all. We couldn't play music in the clubhouse. Remember, we had to have headphones on because, this guy might not like your music. You might not like his. I don't need people fighting in the clubhouse over rap music versus country music. Like, it's not going to happen here. Yeah. And guys didn't complain. They just said, fine. And they'd put their headphones in. Yeah. I remember David Justice, the one time DJ said one thing to Bobby, because DJ came in, got his ears pierced, and he was loving it. And you can't take him out when you first get him, I guess, because the hole grows back. Well, Bobby said, "You ain't wearing that on the field." And he's like, "Well, Skip," he goes, "No, you can take it out, put fishing line in there or something. I don't care, but you're not wearing jewelry. I don't let guys never wear jewelry. Couldn't wear Oakleys. We wore the old school flip downs, right?" He just had a simple set of rules and everybody bought in. I remember Bobby Bowe told me, I ended up playing with Bobby in 96, but I saw him again what year was it where they signed Bobby and BJ Surhoff in the off season? So two big free agent hitters. And Bobby told me the story that, they had, how we have our first day when all the players report to spring and GM talks and Bobby, the manager, talks. He just said he looked at the position players and the pitchers were all kind of sitting on their side doing their thing. He goes, "Hey guys, we've got some really good free agent hitters in here. We got a great lineup." He goes, "But that's why we win over there." So when you see some of these guys leaving spring training, they get here at 9:15 and they're leaving at 10, and you guys haven't even started your first round of BP. I don't want you to say a word, because that's why we win, not because of you. And I remember Bobby Bowe thought, "Holy shot. Yeah. No, I'm making $5 million a year, hitting 35 bombs." And he told me, and I go, "What'd you say?" He goes, "I just said, yes, sir." And that was that culture.
That was a wake-up call getting there in '94. And it's like the pitching staff, Maddux, Glavine, Smoltz, you were out the door by 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah. On the golf course.
I'm sitting there looking around, and Maddux never showered. So he would do all his work and then just put on the clothes and go. And I'm just sitting in the clubhouse going, we run 10 sprints. That's it. What are we doing?
That's it.
You guys, I'm barely in there. I might've gotten a drink of water or something. And I look around and you guys are gone. I'm like,
well, you can't play 54 holes that day if you don't start by 11.
That was beautiful. It really was. I was just like looking around going, okay, what a change of venues here, going from Baltimore where we're out there shagging BP and running 40 poles. And then, I go to Atlanta. It's like, all right, go down to the right field line, do 10 sprints. And I was like, well, we shagging? And they go, are you serious? No. Yeah. No, you guys don't shag. We got guys coming over from the minor league fields to shag.
That's exactly right. Well, he didn't want guys getting hurt out there. What's he going to say? Because how Smoltz was. Smoltz, we'd be playing power shagging 500 for money. Smoltz diving for balls in the gap, trying to scale the fence. So Bobby's like, "No, this ain't happening. You guys are not allowed to shag." Which, like you said, that's the only organization you'll ever hear that. Yeah. No shagging for the pitchers.
Can you walk us through the personality differences of Smoltz, Glavine, Maddux? Because I have to believe, everybody views them as the trifecta, but they had to be completely different.
They all completely different. Doggy was, I won't say the funniest of the three. Smoltz was hilarious as well. But as far as pitching, Doggy was the professor, right? Like he went out there, he had a game plan, he executed. he very seldom, if ever, varied from it because he executed a lot, didn't have to, but how to describe it? He was quiet the day he pitched, right? But he wasn't so uptight and tight the day he pitched. Glav was just, and it's cliche, but just had ice water running through his veins. Like you couldn't tell, you've heard this, walking in, the scoreboard doesn't have power. You couldn't tell what inning, whether he was winning or losing. Just that hockey mentality that he brought with him. He was a 4th round draft pick by the LA Kings, I think. So he kind of had that blue collar. I'm not the biggest guy. I don't throw the hardest, but I'm just going to compete, and I ain't giving in to you. And that was more his demeanor. And then Smoltz was the guy that was high energy. Before the game, he couldn't sit around and wait for the game and overthink about it. So he was the only guy allowed to play video games actually before games. Bobby let up on that rule for Smoltz because otherwise he'd have just sat in his locker or walked around just going crazy, overthinking about the start. So he was more of a guy that had to be distracted. Obviously all 3 different pitching styles. Smoltz was pure power. Glav was the guy that, I don't know how he did it, but he'd throw over half changeups. 100 pitches, he'd throw 60 changeups and 40 fastballs, and he won 305 games. I mean, that just goes to show just the bulldog in him out there. And then Maddux was Maddux. I mean, that guy make a ball move 18 different directions from 60 feet and dot a gnat's ass with it. That's what made him so good. But they'll tell you this too. They motivated each other because you didn't want to be the guy that didn't pitch well, right? So one would go out and just dominate, and they'd be like, you'd hear him say it. Well, thanks for leaving me an out, doggy. You gave up 1 run. So now next one, Glav would try to go out and go shutout, and he may give up a run. Then Smoltz would, and it did. And Avery fed right in. Dude, by the way, Steve Avery was as good as every one of those guys till he got hurt. I mean, Ave was.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Yeah, so those 4 guys, they just fed off each other, and you didn't want to be the guy that gave it up, and it motivated. It was the game within the game, and I've heard him say it a bunch of times on interviews. And next thing you know, you look up, you're winning 18, 20 games personally that year, and you're not even really paying attention to your personal stats. You're just trying not to fall behind the other guys. And they were all battling during the same year. I forget, was it 98 where Glavine, Maddux, and Smoltz were like all finishing the top 5 in Cy Young voting. It's like you can't miss. You can't say, I need to skip a turn in this rotation because my arm doesn't feel good. Because then you fell behind and you were out. So those guys just kept each other going. And it was fun to watch. And I think the hitters fed off it. I know I did as the 5th starter when I was. Like, there's zero pressure on me, but I wanted to be one of those 4. So it motivated me to do that.
I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the 91 World Series, Greg. Is that next on your list?
You can go. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's regarded as one of the best World Series of this generation or the past generation. And as you can tell, I'm a Minnesota sports fan, or at least I was then, and I cover the Twins in part now. But what a legendary series that I've only gotten to see after the fact. Can you kind of walk us through the emotion and the feeling of it as it was going on?
It was unbelievable. So for me personally, and I think most of the guys on that roster, this was pre-interleague, right?
Yeah.
I had not been to an all-star game personally, so I'd never stepped foot in an American League stadium, for one, and then had never been in a stadium that was that loud. That was the first dome. I'd played in the Astrodome, but I can't even explain to you. Again, we're playing on house money, right? We somehow, now we're the miracle team, 91 worst to first. We're playing a perennial, very good American League club in the Twins with Kirby Puckett, Herbeck, Dan Glad. Like, you go through these guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember watching these guys in high school, right? Now I'm potentially going to get ready to face him. But when we got there, we didn't know what to expect. You know, we were told outfielders, don't take your eye from the ball, you'll lose it in the roof, things like that. But when that game started, it was so loud. And the bullpens, for me personally, you were sitting right kind of like Wrigley. Like you didn't have a shelter. You were sitting on a bench and the fans could literally tap you on the shoulder and ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so loud. And just the way it went, you know, obviously Jack Morris did what he did, and I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame. But to go down 2-0, we're like, you know what? Yeah, we're bumming, but man, this is so much fun. Then to win 3 in a row at home, now we're going back thinking we're winning this thing. We've got momentum on our side, and then we ran into Puckett, and that was the end. Yep. In that game 6, where I think it was it 2-1 or 1-0? But I can't explain to you how much fun that was, even with losing. The experience, those, what do they call them? The Homer hankies. The Homer hankies, all just white. There was a rumor that they would turn the air conditioning on when they were hitting, though, because then the ball carried. We don't know. They did. We had to blame something. We had to blame somebody.
It's real. They admitted to it after the fact.
Did they really?
Oh yeah, no, I was on the mound in the 9th inning, bunch in the Metrodome, and it was like, oh, that's a nice breeze coming from behind.
Oh, see, we didn't know if it was real or not. We just, but no, that was, I'll tell you what, man, it had to go down as one of the best World Series ever. It really did. And the way Jack went 10 that last game, just bossed it up. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
To win one.
I gotta ask one more before we let Oli back in too. You played with Deion Sanders. What was it like playing baseball with Deion Sanders?
It was awesome, man. I got to play in Atlanta, and then when I went to Cincy in '97, my first time in Cincy, Deion was there.
Oh yeah,
dude, Deion was one of the best teammates. I don't know anyone that you would ask that played with Deion wouldn't say he's one of their favorite teammates. The guy knew how to have a good time, knew when to be serious, played the game hard, loved to win, was an amazing competitor. People don't know about Deion because they saw him, at Florida State in his interviews in the fur coats and all that. He was just a marketing master. The guy didn't cuss. He didn't drink. He didn't do drugs. He wanted to play cards. He wanted to play these silly games, Tetris. We had rock, paper, scissors competition, just stupid stuff, right? But he was unbelievable to play with. And I tell you what, had he played only baseball, would have loved to have seen what he could have accomplished, because he wasn't afraid to put the work in. And nothing more exciting. I didn't get to see Bo in person do it, but nothing more exciting than watching Deion hit a triple. Like, it was just unbelievable to see how he'd pick him up and put him down and was just standing on third base.
He could play. He could get on base. He could walk. He had an eye at the plate. It wasn't just, hey, this is a spectacle. This guy can really go. And I suppose defensively, the speed alone would make him at least respectable.
Yeah. Well, and if he had 12 months a year to devote to just, who knows, sky's the limit with that guy. And he had some pop too. People don't realize he hit better on the field than he did on the football field, right? Reputation wise.
Probably.
He'll be the first, but he'll be the first to admit it too. But you know what he told us? Because I remember a lot of guys would be like, you know what, Deion, man, honestly, I had a bad read on you before I met you. He goes, everyone does, Merck. He goes, it's on purpose. He goes, you notice all these fans, or wherever they were, he goes, half of them are here because they hate me and half of them are here because they love me. He goes, but they're here.
Yep.
I said, you're right.
Genius.
He's a genius. He's a genius.
Yeah, no, we're seeing that now at where he's at coaching football, and at the Aflac commercial with Saban. It's like doing pretty well.
He's a businessman, and he's done a really good job of it.
Yeah. Wow. Merck, we've had you for about an hour, brother.
Wait, what's the question that you said Brandon was going to ask that I've never been asked before?
Well, I
was hoping I touched on some. I do have we could do a little Kent Mercker trivia to let you go.
That's fine.
Or not really?
No, that's fine.
All right. I have your head-to-head numbers with batters pulled up.
Oh God!
It's all in good fun.
I already know one of them.
It gets a little painful, Merck. There's a couple guys that I got gotten on, and I was like going, what?
What batter did you face
I already know the
most?
one.
Most plate appearances.
Oh, wow.
42. It's 42 plate appearances.
All right. I know Bonds is close, but
38
I'm gonna go with Tony Gwynn.
42, Tony Gwynn. It goes Gwynn, Finley, Biggio, Bonds, and Grace. So that's a pretty that's a who's who of 1990s ball players.
Yeah.
Wow.
And notice they're all in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not.
Well, it just means you're a good dude.
Well,
lost.
Yeah, I think we lost Brandon.
Lost your audio.
I think I got muted for a second there.
There you go.
It was working out better that way. All right. We got you?
Am I back?
Yep,
Yeah.
You're back.
Well, this is the issue that we had earlier on. That was that we could hear Brandon, but he couldn't hear us. So we might be, well, we got an hour out of it, brother. I was looking forward to the Kent Mercker trivia, but maybe we'll have to have it another time.
I was 1 for 1. I was off to a good start, man.
I think mine was like Tony Phillips or somebody like that. And I was going,
Was it?
I was like, yeah, every one of them was miserable because he made me throw about 8 pitches, you know? I'm going to text Brandon right here, but appreciate having you on, man. It was awesome. Great story.
No problem, buddy. Great catching up. Love doing it.
Talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yep. Hey, let me know if you're going to be out and about spring training, or I don't know what you're going to do, but let's get together.
Yeah, I'm working, trying to hook on with a one team or 2 teams, and just kind of going back and forth a little bit. So we'll see if I get down to spring training a little bit, I'll check in, see where you are.
What teams? Are you not allowed to tell yet?
Don't really want to talk about it yet.
Okay. Gotcha.
But
I'm back. Sorry.
He's back.
I was getting ready.
I think you get
closing us up.
Okay. Well, I hope it's still recorded. So I'll go over the last ones. We'll let you go. 14 hits. One guy had 14 hits off you, the most against anybody. Do you know who it was?
I'm going to go with Larry Walker.
Walker had 13. Dante Bichette had 13. It was a lefty, though.
Okay, so damn, it might have been
fellow broadcast type.
Wow.
Arizona Diamondbacks broadcast.
Oh, Finley?
Gracie.
Oh, Mark Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Not much damage, though.
No, and so one guy had 4 homers off you. He was drafted in the same round as you.
It had to be, well, it's not Sheffield.
Nope.
It's got to be Matt Williams. Got to be Matt Williams.
Matty?
And then here's a good one for you. Who did you strike out the most? 11 times. Lefty outfielder and teammate of Greg Olson's on the legendary 1995 Buffalo Bisons.
Not Brian Giles.
Nope, you got to get the other corner
Burnett.
Outfielder. Burnett, Jeremy Burnett.
Dude,
yeah,
you know what?
He was 1 for 27 against you. Holy smokes.
Dude, it's dude, and I played with Bernie, and Bernie's a great dude, by the way.
Yeah.
But dude, I remember facing him once. He hit a line drive up the middle, right between my legs. It hit the rubber and just chip shot it over to second base. Like, there's nothing he could have done. It wasn't because I was that much better. It was literally, he would hit a ball on the screws right at somebody every time. But I'll tell you, the one guy, Jeff Conine, he's like 12 for 10 off me.
Oh, I know.
It's unbelievable.
I think everybody's got a guy like that where it's just you can't get him out.
Yeah, and
8 for 10. 8 for 10. Holy smokes.
Dude, what's Jeff Kent off me?
Jeff Kent. 12 for 28.
What about Rowland? What about Scott Rowland?
Scott Rowland. Let's see what we can find here. This is an excellent little statistical database that I have for work. 6 for 19. So,
dude, you know what's amazing is, well, for me, my favorite stat, and you said I faced Bonds 38 times, right?
I believe that's accurate.
Look how many
38. Yep.
Look how many times I walked him.
None.
And
Not a one.
He told me that.
Oh, he has a 263 on base and a 270 average. You literally got him for a sac fly or something to mess up his averages because he's got a lower on base. He's got a lower on base than average. I don't think that happens very often to a guy like Barry Bonds.
Dude, if I can hold Bonds to a 263 on base, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll tell you a stupid little story here, and I'm sorry, but so in 2002, I was with the Rockies. We had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the damn Giants, right? So I come in, I face Bonds Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We get up Sunday morning. I get up, whatever. My wife's there, my kids, and my wife goes, "Hey, did you watch SportsCenter this morning?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "You're one of only 3 guys." It said you're one of only 3 guys that have faced Bonds a minimum of like 35 times or whatever that he hasn't hit a home run off of. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like literally. And she goes, "Well, I don't believe in that." I go, "Well, I do." So anyway, they take me to the game. I ride share with a buddy in, right? Sure enough, I come in 7th inning, face Bonds. I throw him a first pitch heater. He pulls it foul. So I'm like, I've never thrown him a changeup. He's way out in front. I throw him a changeup. He reloads and hit it in the second deck. He's looking at me. He winks and he goes, "I got you." And I'm like, yeah. And I like Barry. I got along with him. But after the game, we were back in the family area. They were leaving. He sees me. He comes up. He hugs me. He's like, "Dude, I wasn't trying to be an asshole." I go, "No, I know you weren't." He goes, "But did you see that shit on SportsCenter this morning?" And I'm like, damn it.
I knew he was going to say that too. And I was looking at your stats. I saw 1 home run. I'm like, this is not ending well.
That was it.
Funny. That is funny.
That was it. And I looked at it, pointed right at my wife, and I said, "You can blame her because she brought it up." And he looked at her. He goes, "You did not bring that up to him." She goes, "I didn't know." And I'm like, "Well," he goes, "Now you know."
Now you know.
That's great. Oh man, I appreciate it, brother. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
We'll get this chopped up, but hey, thanks for you guys and for the listeners sticking it out with us on that 90s Baseball Pod through a little bit of technical difficulties today. What a fun hour and change. I'll go through chop it up, but thank you again so much to Kent Mercker. You can follow him on Twitter, MERCK50, for Greg Olson and Brandon Warren signing off saying thank you so much for checking out that 90s Baseball Pod powered by Access Twins. We'll catch you next week. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.